said no. But apparently there's been, in recent time, several local companies that have reached out to the Dolans to kind of rate their interest in perhaps selling or divesting themselves of the Indians. And Bruce actually mentioned in the chat room here this morning that he heard the same thing from somebody at USA Today as well, that there are several people at least interrogating into the feasibility or the saleability, if not, it's there, of the Cleveland Indians. Have you heard anything like that? And I mean, I said it at the beginning of the show. I said, I'm not one of them people who blames everything on the Dolans. I do blame some stuff on them, and I do think that they're not interested in losing money. Not that you should be. I get it. But in sports, I think the more you're willing to lose money to make money, the better you do. They're willing to wait until they make money to make more money. That's a different way of doing business. But I just think the Dolans are a tainted brand in Cleveland. I truly believe if you pretended to sell the team, you would go up 20% of ticket sales next year just from people that go, thank goodness the Dolans are gone. Now we can support the Indians again. They could really still own the team. It could just be a total sham deal. They could just put a cover guy out in front of them, and instantly people would like the Indians a lot more because it's a tainted brand where there's just people that whether it's for a good reason or not, they've heard that the Dolans are cheap. They're told that the Dolans stink, so that's what they believe, and you can't fix that, no matter who you sign, no matter who you trade for, or whatever. Yeah, according to Bruce, USA Today is doing an end-of-season story on the potential interest in buying the Cleveland Indians. So have you heard anything about that? And do you feel where I'm coming from about, I just feel the Dolans are a tainted brand amongst Cleveland sports fans?
I think there may very well be something to what you're saying, that there were people who years ago when they let Sabathia and Lee go back to back and they basically said, hey, as long as these Dolans on the team, I'm never going to support them anymore. So I think there's an element in the city that is like that has that feeling, it has that preconception. I think winning can mitigate that a little bit. I think that some of that goes away when you win 92 games and go to the line, grab a wild card spot and play on. I don't know how much of a factor it is. I don't know what percentage you might assign to, season tickets would go up by X percent if somebody bought the team. But anytime the team changes hands and there's always renewed hope and renewed enthusiasm, and maybe some people are going to buy some season tickets that otherwise would not have. I'm just not sure it's as widespread or to the extent that maybe you're feeling that it is. Hardly, and no way to quantify that. And until you do it,
right.
I'm encouraged by that. And to answer your question, no, I haven't heard that, and I will immediately try to go to USA Today. I don't know where that rumor came from, but it's something I definitely want to look into. And immediately start wondering, who that would be, whether it's a Peter Lewis at Progressive, or whether it's executives or ownership of other companies. Obviously many of the biggest companies in Cleveland are no longer in Cleveland. I always think about Eaton and Parker Hannifin and Diamond Shamrock and people like that. And any more of the biggest employers, the biggest companies in the Cleveland area are the hospital systems and the public sector stuff. But I'd be interested to find out who those people are, and certainly I'd be behind an effort to transfer ownership of this team to people with deeper pockets and more commitment and maybe more enthusiasm and maybe a broader and a more noticeable and conspicuous public face.
Part of the reason that I assigned some of that I said to the Dolans specifically was because what you said very first thing in your answer, that didn't happen this year. And I know part of it you blame on the ticket sales, and you're right about that. But you didn't have a bounce back. You drew less fans after a 92-win playoff season. You drew less fans the next year. I mean, that got me. They didn't even draw the same number of fans. They drew 300 fans a game less this year than they did last year. And I'm amazed at that. I didn't expect it to be 10,000 more, but I thought, okay, you raise the average a couple of thousand after that season, then a couple of thousand if you do it 2 in a row. Now we're getting 5,000-10,000 a game more in 2 years to the stadium. They went backwards after a winning season that came out of nowhere and had a magic storybook ending that made everybody feel good, and nobody was mad after the wild card. Everybody had, hey, Indians are rolling now, man. This was great. They drew less fans this year. And so part of me says, man, there's more to it than just what's on the field. This is not just about whether they win or lose, you know. And
you're right. You're right. And even on top of that, Jerry, when they acted like a 500 or worse team for the first 2/3 of the season, then when they hit that 1st of August or that first week of August and played really good ball for the next month and a half and climbed back into the race, so that when we got into middle of the September, we were in it. We were competing. We were a playoff contender. That's when they were drawing 9,900 people to the ballpark for big games against division rivals. I mean, it went the opposite direction of the way it should. If the people were sitting around waiting, well, I'll wait till they contend, and I don't like to go in April and May because it's too cold. And later on in the season, you're in August and September. Now you've climbed back in, you're competing, and the attendance is plummeting. Attendance is going down. You can't draw 10,000 to the place. I don't understand it either. And we talked about the limitations of walk-up crowds, and your largest walk-ups ever are 5,000 and 6,000 people, which still doesn't get the place half full after you hit your season average of whatever 15 something. So I don't get it, but I know that you can't say that. Well, if they win, they'll come out, because they did and they didn't. They won, and then the people didn't show up at the ballpark to support them when they most needed the support. It's embarrassing to me as a lifetime Clevelander, and I feel bad for the players that have to take the field in front of a couple thousand people. We both know that so many times when they have an announced crowd of 10,000, it's really more like 2,500 that are actually sitting there. So it's got to be deflating and discouraging for the players that have to go out there and try to win ball games in front of a handful of people.
For sure, and that's why I say it's part of it is it's the term. People don't even know what Dolans own the team. They're just the Dolans. That's like their general term, because like last night, I'm telling you, at the end of last night's game, I look up and down Twitter, and I don't just look at the people that I follow. I like hashtag search, and I go see just what everybody's tweeting about certain things, because I want to get a good look at that. And I'm telling you, first off, you'd have thought that they just finished losing their 100th game of the season, and I'm literally seeing word for word things that say things like, don't give me that back-to-back winning season crap. These cheap Dolans will never give us a good team. And I'm like, wait a minute. How can you gloss over the achievement of, for the first time in 14 years, getting back-to-back winning seasons? You don't go from losing 90 games to winning 10 years in a row without winning 2 years in a row, and then 3 years in a row, and so on and so forth. But some of these people are just so out for blood from the ownership that don't give me that. Well, last I checked, it's been 13 and a half years since you've won back-to-back seasons like that. So that is something to talk about. That's not something to go, oh, don't give me that. Well, why not? Why not? You're not buying tickets to the game anyway, so I'm going to give you whatever you want.
I hear you. And the same kinds of people that are out there doing that are the same kinds of people that you see on Twitter last night and the night before saying, fire Tito. As soon as you see somebody saying fire Tito, okay, this is a moron. This is an idiot. This is somebody who knows nothing about baseball. And so you just write them off. You dismiss them because they're obviously not a baseball fan. They're somebody that casually follows the fortunes of the team. But, a fire Tito tweet is, you might as well just wear a sign on your head that says, I'm an idiot.
I told you. I don't know if you heard me yesterday. I counted in the first half an hour after, not last night's game. I said this on yesterday's show. When they lost Monday night, I counted in the first half an hour after the game, 40, I can't remember if it was 42 or 43, tweets that had the phrase fire Francona involved in what they were tweeting about. And I'm like, you have got to be kidding me. You've got to be kidding me if you think some other manager would have worked more magic with this team. I mean, the bastions of talent like Chris Jimenez that were given to Terry Francona to work with, man. But I'm glad you brought that up because it's been driving me nuts for days, that kind of thing. And I will say this is outside of we need a bat in this lineup. Outside of that, I think that this offseason from a financial standpoint is crucial. I think the Indians need to make a sizzle move in this offseason, and it's because they're already struggling at the gate and with the fan support. The momentous wave that is Cavaliers season is washing into town this weekend and will roll through until baseball comes back. And whatever momentum the Browns may build here, and they can lose all the games and still have momentum as far as the fans are concerned. So you've got both of those things, and especially the Cavs in that. The Indians run the risk, not that they're not already being overlooked, of being even more washed over by the other teams, whereas if they make a decently flashy move, just when I don't mean necessarily big money, something that actually excites the fan base and makes them go, wow, even if it's signing Victor Martinez and they go, man, all right, hey, I can get with that. Then there's that buzz. When basketball season ends and baseball season hits town, there's the buzz for the Indians. It's not just, well, let's hurry up and get to Brown season. And they can get washed over on what's going on in Cleveland right now if they don't grab, I don't want to say a piece of the spotlight, but if they don't grab some attention during the next 4 months of the offseason.
You're right. I mean, so much of the Indian success in the mid-'90s was the coming together of the new ballpark and the talented team, and Jacobs Field became the place to be. It was a social scene. It was the place to be and be seen. And right now, that place is the Q. I think going forward, like you're very right about that. That it's they run the risk of being just lost in the shuffle of Cleveland sports. Like you say, the Browns fans are going to be there, sink or swim. But very very real possibility that anything the Indians do is going to be overshadowed and drowned out by the din surrounding LeBron and everything that's going on down there. The Cavs are already the hottest selling ticket on the road. I think I saw the other day an average ticket price to see the Cavs in a road NBA venue is $400.
Oh yeah,
which
nuts.
is far and away the highest of any team in the NBA as these ticket prices are starting to find their levels now coming into the season. Cost you $400 on average to go see LeBron play on the road in the NBA. So, yeah, it's not just in Cleveland; it's everywhere that the Cavs are going to be the center of attention. And the Indians, they very much risk. I think they've safely been the second most popular pro team in Cleveland for years. Well, they certainly risk dropping to number 3 after this fall.
But here's where I'm always glass half full kind of guy. Here's where I see the Cavaliers' upcoming season helping the Indians if they sign they do something to kind of make the fan base get excited. It's because you're about to have October, November, December, January, February, March of 8, just like a baseball season, 41 home dates of people traveling downtown, having a good time, winning atmosphere, all of that stuff that comes with a winning Cavs season and LeBron. We went through that before 5 years ago. You're going to get people in that habit of getting down, and they're going to have a good time. Well, if the Indians have positioned themselves right in the months of December and January, then they can carry that over because those same people may still want to go to those same establishments downtown, continue that same winter of winning and fun and whatever they've been having. You're next door to the Q. I mean, you're not even across town. You're next door to the Q. You really can kind of siphon some of that right back into being Indians fans if you give them something this winter to do that, to grab onto. You know what I mean?
You're right, and I think last winter they kind of put all their chips on Nick Swisher, and they did their advertisements with him, and he was the Brohio guy, and he was the new face, and then the turnaround and the coming home kind of a guy. That was before we even knew that the coming home was going to be a big theme for the year. But So I guess, and we saw what happened to the attendance, Zippo. And so it's going to have to be a really big splash, because even though we didn't know it was going to be a flop, it was a really big splash.